Would you like to have more joy in your life? I bet you do. I have never met anyone in my life who ever said they had too much joy and they wanted to tone it down a little bit. Do you realize that you were created for joy? God created man because he wanted someone to have a relationship with and someone to share his joy with. So that's why we all have an inbuilt capacity for joy, so that we could connect to God on a joy level. Because he had so much joy, he wanted someone to share it with. And the reason why joy is a fruit of the Spirit is because there's so much joy in heaven. He wanted to have a way of releasing joy on the earth. So the more of the Spirit that we have, the more joy we have to share. But Adam, of course, fell, and he cut himself off from a relationship with God and from God's joy. But God didn't want that situation to remain permanent. So the plan of salvation was birthed in joy. Jesus came to reconnect God and man so that we could once again reestablish that relationship and reconnect to God's joy. And in fact, that's why in the Bible it says, Jesus endured all that suffering for the joy that was set before him. And that joy is you and me. The joy was the excitement he had about the life we would have reconnecting with him and with his joy. And so, how can you have more joy in your life? Well, in Psalm 16:11 it says, "In his presence is fullness of joy." So the more joy you want, the more time you want to spend in his presence. When you're in his presence, you can be filled with joy. And so what steals your joy? Anything that distracts you from an awareness of his presence, of which there are a lot of things. And Satan wants to distract you so that you are never aware of presence and you don't experience joy. So here's my recommendation to you. Every day, every morning, start your day in his presence, in a quiet time. And while you're in his presence, ask God for more joy, for a revelation of joy, for an awareness of his joy, for a pouring in of his joy. And throughout your working day, if you feel your joy level dropping, which I'm sure you will, you just return to his presence. Because you can go into his presence anywhere at any time, and there is no shortage of joy waiting for you to replenish your stores. There's enough joy for all of us. So I encourage you, reconnect with God's joy. Don't have a head knowledge relationship with any longer. He wants to have a heart connection with you so he can keep pouring his joy into you. That's why you were created. Now I want to hear from you. How do you maintain God's joy in your life with all the distractions that we have every day? Just leave your testimony in the comment box below this video. And if this is your first visit here, then why don't you subscribe and get these 5-minute videos every week? So I'll talk to you next week, but this week, be in his presence. Get the joy you're entitled to.